After discovering my husband has been giving the homemade lunches I lovingly pack for him to another woman behind my back, I now face the terrifying prospect that his immigration status is in jeopardy and our marriage could collapse, leaving me uncertain of what to do next. My husband, 25, and I, 26, have been married for nearly 2 years, and we have a 6-month-old baby. I work part-time, primarily to boost our income and cover the legal expenses for his immigration paperwork. We were fortunate that the process seemed straightforward, perhaps 2 years at most for his residency. However, I'm now canceling everything and pursuing a divorce. My old routine involved waking up an hour and a half before him to prepare his lunch, pack his work bag, and have his breakfast, coffee, and clothes ready so he could wake up, eat, get dressed, and leave within 30 minutes. He always appreciated the meals I packed: fresh chicken, either honey buffalo or lemon pepper, with salad or some kind of chicken wrap, all healthy, wholesome food. I did this because I wanted to simplify his life and demonstrate my care and affection, a practice I maintained since we first moved in together over 3 years ago. Recently, I began including dinner leftovers in his lunch because he started requesting more food, claiming he was still hungry. This struck me as odd, given that whether I worked or not, he always came home to a prepared meal. So, even if he wasn't completely full, he would be fine. I rationalized it, thinking perhaps he was bulking up. I then started packing him what I usually took for my own lunch, which meant I either went without lunch until after work or risked being late because I had to wait for the food to be ready. As a breastfeeding mother, I couldn't afford to skip meals. I'd often leave food cooking, perhaps in a slow cooker or on low heat, depending on how long after I left he would arrive home. Last week, as I was packing his lunch, I discovered an unfamiliar second fork in his lunchbox. I was confused, so I inquired about it. He claimed he found it in his work kitchen and brought it home, which struck me as strange. Why wouldn't he? Just leave it there? I had noticed subtle changes in him, which I dismissed, telling myself I was just being insecure after having a baby. But this incident caused a knot in my stomach. A few days later, I decided to visit his workplace during lunch to surprise him with dessert and for him to see the baby. That's when I uncovered the real reason he needed more food. His coworker, the one he had told me no longer worked there, the same person I had expressed discomfort about him being too friendly with, leading me to ask him to remove and block her from everything, including WhatsApp, not only still worked there but was eating the fresh lunch I had prepared for him, while he ate the leftovers. I didn't make a scene. Instead, I took pictures and added them to a growing collection of evidence of his past actions, ranging from him hiding social media stories from other women after denying it, to naked photos of a coworker from a previous job, which led to him being fired. I drove home in tears, intending to pack my belongings. Once home, I gathered the bassinet, essentials for the baby, and my personal necessities, then headed to my sister's and brother-in-law's house. I confided everything to them, even showing them our WhatsApp conversation where he explicitly stated she no longer worked there. I typically text him throughout the day, so he began texting and calling me, asking if I was all right and what was for dinner. He was nearly finished with work, inquiring if everything was okay. Then he arrived home an hour earlier than usual, which also made me question if he had been untruthful about his work hours. He found my and the baby's things gone, and my letter, informing him he had 7 days to vacate my house, a house my mother gave me when I was 20. The letter stated he could coordinate with my mother to see the baby when I was at work, or whenever he wished, simply by letting her know, and I would drop the baby off with her. For the time being, I wanted no contact with him. I also left the printed photos of them eating lunch and laughing together beneath the letter. Later that evening, having decided I wanted nothing further to do with him, I informed the lawyer we had a group WhatsApp chat with, myself, the lawyer, his paralegal, and my brother-in-law, our co-sponsor, that I no longer required his services. I then messaged the lawyer privately to inquire if I could transfer our existing contract and the money I had already paid to his divorce and family practice. He regrettably informed me that there was a clause, or something similar, stating that if we chose to discontinue the case, we would forfeit the invested funds. He also explained that his immigration practice was a partnership with different individuals than his family law practice. However, he offered to keep our immigration case open until we received a response for our next government appointment. If we hadn't resolved things by then, He would then cancel everything. This news sent him into a frenzy because now, if he didn't secure his papers, he would have to choose between his daughter and his parents, risking never seeing his parents and family again, or never seeing his daughter again if he returned to his home country. He pleaded relentlessly, to the point where I blocked him on all platforms. He even came to my brother-in-law's house and was told to leave, or they would call the police. Later, he returned intoxicated with his friends, who were all intimidated and scared off by my brother-in-law armed with a shotgun. I feel utterly lost, shattered, and depressed. I've even arranged for security at my workplace to prevent him from showing up at my office. My sister advises me to leave him, but not to divorce him, so he can't marry anyone else and obtain his papers. However, I can't do that to him. I've returned home only to check on the house and confirm he's gone. I'm still staying with my sister. Surprisingly, there's no damage to anything, and only his personal belongings are missing, which offers a small measure of relief. I'm not seeking advice. I know I'm not going back. Trust is irrevocably broken. My mental health would not be safe in that relationship, and I know I cannot have my daughter grow up witnessing such a dynamic as an example. I simply needed to articulate this to solidify it in my mind, and to recognize that this is now a recurring pattern. He has gone beyond disrespecting me by now making me cook for her as well. I've been meticulously budgeting, trying to make our resources stretch, sometimes eating less than I would like or skipping meals if a previous one was carb-heavy, ensuring I had enough for my milk supply. All this was to cover bills, the lawyer, his gym membership, and supplements. I sacrifice rest and sleep, making sure the laundry and house are immaculate while the baby sleeps. I've essentially transformed from an independent, educated career woman into a 1950s housewife with a job and school, all because I fell blindly for this man. To say I feel foolish is an understatement. My phone seems to post without paragraphs, regardless of what I do, but I genuinely tried to format it, even in my emotional state. This time, I double-spaced the paragraphs to see if it helps. It might be my phone or something else. There are a few things I want to clarify based on comments. No, my sister isn't urging me to stay in the relationship. She's suggesting I don't divorce him so he can't simply find another woman to marry for a green card. No. I am not taking anything from him that wasn't mine before we got married. Before me, he lived in a house with 7 other men, sharing a bedroom with a bunk bed, and he drove a 2000 Buick that required him to unplug the battery to restart it. That car was scrapped after its electrical system failed. The car he's currently using is my car, which I acquired in high school and used throughout high school, part-time seasonal jobs, and community college. Also, my mom is not deceased. She gave me my childhood home because I was attending college, and it's a 10-minute commute from the campus. She gave it to me because I'm the youngest of her children. All my brothers and sisters are at least 10 years older, and apart from my sister who is assisting me, they all reside in different states. He left home with a motorcycle, his customized gaming systems, clothes, and the guest bedroom TV, which was the only one not mounted. Furthermore, I am not preventing him from seeing his daughter. I simply do not wish to see him personally, as I know he will offer numerous excuses and try to make me understand him. He can communicate with my sister or my mom, and they will supervise his visits with his daughter whenever he wishes. There is no conflict regarding that. I don't believe he's a bad father, but I just don't think my relationship with him is the example I want to set for my daughter. Yes, I am also Mexican. My father came to the States and later brought my mother and 2 brothers and 2 sisters. It took a decade for them to see each other again, which is why I am so much younger than my siblings and the only one born here. Update 1. I also had a full checkup and indeed had an infection. I was lucky I could treat it and recover without further issues. This also confirmed his unfaithfulness because, as I mentioned, I had a baby not long ago, and throughout the entire pregnancy, they checked me for everything. They had done a full panel when I was 3 months postpartum because I had a UTI, and my doctor wanted to ensure it was only that. Yes, when I went to tell him about the infection, I allowed him to speak his mind about everything. I only asked him for the truth, as there wasn't anything else for him to ruin. It was completely over at this point. He tried to claim the infection was a common one, resulting from him going outside and urinating without washing his hands, or that the coworker doesn't like men and was just one of the guys. He even tried to say, I only gave her lunch that day. It was just the one time that she forgot her lunch and she asked me because she saw I had 2 lunches. He then asserted, he would never stoop so low to break his family. Why would I make such assumptions? Oh, so he knew what he was doing. Once I showed him my chart with my results and explained how it wasn't a normal infection like E. coli that you can get from contaminated food, but an actual transmissible infection, I also explained that I hadn't been intimate with anyone since we met. My doctor clarified that if I had any transmissible diseases, I would have known during my pregnancy, as it's common practice to test for all risks. Furthermore, with my high-risk pregnancy and preterm labor, she tested for all kinds of things to find the cause of the issues and afterward to find the cause of the preterm labor. He admitted it shortly after that, listening to me and seeing my doctor's notes. My doctor was truly amazing in listening to me, allowing me to cry and providing not only support in that moment, even having a nurse take my daughter out so I could cry, but also printing information and assuring me that simple medicine would make it all go away and I shouldn't experience any more issues. Anyway, he's staying at the dairy in some trailer the owner lent him. For those who thought she would take him, it turns out she's engaged and about to begin her wedding plans and process her adjustment of status to get her papers. Anyway, I'm back to living on my own. My baby is doing great. I have another office job lined up for January, and I've applied to a few universities. I'm currently attending community college online, but if I get into a university, I think I'll move out of this town. My grandma said she would move with me to help me. Some days are long, like today. It's late at night, and I can't sleep because I miss him. But I've been keeping myself busy, getting rid of things in my home to start fresh and organize everything. I won't lie and say I'm doing great. On my days off, I don't get out of bed. My house is clean, but my laundry basket in my bedroom is overflowing, and I've brought out the guest blankets and pillows to use. People at work have noticed a slower pace in my work, and I was offered time off, but I declined it. Although, now that the rumor of what happened has somehow reached my job, I may take it. Edit for update. I woke up to my husband's call. He apologized again. I'm still not giving in, but he told me he was discussing free clinics or places people go when they're sick with some guys at work. It turns out that same woman has been sleeping with a few of them, around the same time. One of them told my husband where to get treated for free because he also got it from her. His apology, which sounded more sincere this time, I believe, is actually worse because it only came after he realized he wasn't special to her, just another one of the men she slept with. But I say sincere because he didn't offer many excuses. Instead, he seemed to hold himself accountable by saying he had won the lottery and messed up. He begged for a second chance, saying he didn't know what came over him. He says he hates coming home to an empty trailer and misses seeing his daughter the moment he gets home from work. What truly choked me up was when he said he used to feel more exhausted when he came home to us because the baby would be excited to see him and would cry to be held by him. He also mentioned that during the week I would often leave the same easy meals made for him so he could eat while I left for work, and he started to feel tired of it. It was a boring routine of same foods during the week, coming home and having to watch the baby so I could go to work. That solidified for me that I never want another relationship, much less go back to him. The routine I worked hard to establish for my family was a chore to him. I literally managed a fussy, tired child until he got home so she would mostly sleep, and he would only need a single bottle for her, but even that was too difficult. He said he would give up the world just to be back in his routine, because now he comes home to an empty trailer with just a bed and a fold-out table. He hasn't been following his diet because he doesn't have time to prepare food. He started spending money on lunch because he doesn't have meals made for him. He says he misses the baby so much that he now cries when he goes home. I told him I didn't know what to tell him about that, but if he wanted to see the baby, when I go to work, he could see her at my mom's, who now babysits for me. Knowing my mom, she prepares food and would never deny him a meal, so he can go there to eat and be with the baby after work. But I had to go. I couldn't talk anymore. When I tell you all I've never cried so hard in my life, it's an understatement. It doesn't help that it's raining today. I think I'm calling into work today and tomorrow and speaking to my boss about taking those days off. I was logging off for a while, but I figured I'd update everyone to let you know she found my home and started harassing me now. I guess somehow her fiancé found out, and she thinks it was because of me. I feel like things are just going from bad to worse. I had to leave my car in my mom's garage and borrow my nephew's car, which my neighbor let me park in her driveway. because she threatened to ruin my car like I ruined her relationship, which isn't just hypothetical, but also ironic. Update 2. My baby and I are doing better. She's okay for now. But unfortunately, I've started to show some physical symptoms of the extreme stress I've been enduring. As of Wednesday, I haven't had any more issues with the woman, as my stepfather installed cameras. The moment one of the cameras alerted me to movement, I called the police. I'm not sure what she was planning, but she spent enough time under my kitchen window and my laundry window that the police arrived and apprehended her for trespassing. Now, with my video evidence, I've sent it to the lawyer who was originally our immigration attorney. He stated he would be filing an immigration report on her, using my original picture of her working and my video evidence of her trespassing, along with whatever else is needed to prove she is not only in the country while her visa is inactive, but also working and engaging in illegal activities. I don't know what she wanted, but if she had left me alone, I wouldn't have done anything. I didn't report her to her fiancé or take any action against her. Everything happened naturally, and now, to protect myself, I've had the lawyer report her for me. Update 3. I've become indifferent to the whispers, simply waiting for the office to close for the holiday vacation so I can go to Mexico for a while, until our office reopens in mid-January. I've befriended a local police officer in my area, so he frequently patrols the area, and his wife has even come to stay with me to help with my daughter and ensure my safety. I stopped posting because the original post gained enough traction that she discovered it. I suppose I wasn't vague enough. I guess her husband uses Reddit. And after he found out about her cheating and the drama, he connected the dots and contacted me. I was able to confirm it was him by phone and met in person to talk. Editor's note: this post did receive a lot of attention across several different subreddits and was shared on various platforms outside of Reddit, including Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, and TikTok, making it quite plausible someone found it. It turned out he actually reported her overstay, but apparently she wasn't deported. However, she, along with a few others, including my ex, were all fired from their jobs because of his report. According to him, she won't be able to renew her visa again because she came as a tourist, meaning she cannot work. He apologized for her erratic behavior and offered to assist me, but I declined, as his involvement might actually complicate things further. My ex started being promiscuous and, I guess, hasn't learned his lesson. I no longer care, though. I've come to terms with the fact that he's not the person I married. I'm so repulsed by him now that I don't even like him kissing my daughter. He does come to see her when my mom watches her, more often now that he got fired and is looking for a job. I ask my mom to ensure he leaves before I pick up, because he starts crying the moment he sees me and tries to hug me. The police have been unhelpful, apart from the friendly officer and his wife. It's not just that girl now, it's like 3 of her friends, plus a few others who have slept with my ex, who are harassing me because he tells them he loves me and wants me back, which makes me wonder if he's foolish or manipulating them to attack me on his behalf. Either way, I've deactivated all my social media accounts, and the ones I do use are all private or under a different name so I can still use them, but I simply don't post. Update 4. Honestly, I'm trying to focus on healing now. After everything, I'm disgusted to recall a time I slaved for him. I look at him, and he's just not the same. I used to see his green eyes and adore his long lashes. Now I notice his pimple scars and poor skin. I used to be eager for him to come home, trying to think of something special to surprise him or prepare everything for him to return to a warm, clean, welcoming home. I never thought I would dread having to see him or feel anxiety when he's near. I'm just focusing on myself now. Update 5. It's been almost 3 months since my last update. I've been dedicating my time to myself and my daughter, striving to build a new life away from all the drama. I finally took the time off work my boss offered and spent 2 weeks simply being with my baby, watching her grow and reach new milestones. She's started babbling more now, and sometimes I swear she's trying to say mama. Those moments make all the pain worthwhile. I ended up getting accepted to one of the universities I applied to. It's about 2 hours away from here, and I've decided to make the move this summer. My grandma is still planning to come with me to help with the baby while I attend classes. The thought of a fresh start in a new place where nobody knows our story fills me with hope for the first time in months. My ex found out about the move through my mom. He showed up at my house unannounced last week, something he hasn't done since our initial separation. I was putting the baby down for a nap when I heard knocking. When I opened the door, he looked different, thinner, with dark circles under his eyes. He begged me not to take his daughter away from him, claiming he'd do anything, even move to the same city if that's what it took to remain in her life. I told him I wasn't trying to keep him from his daughter, but that I needed this fresh start. We ended up having the first civil conversation we've had in months. He admitted he's been attending therapy, trying to understand why he threw away everything we had, and said he's been sober for 6 weeks now. Part of me wanted to believe him, to see if the change is genuine, but I've been down this road before. We agreed to establish a formal custody arrangement through our lawyers, moving beyond the informal see her at my mom's situation. He'll have her every other weekend and one evening during the week once we move. It feels strange to be planning our lives so separately when once we shared everything. The woman who was harassing me apparently got deported last month. Her fiancé contacted me to apologize again and let me know she was gone. One less thing to worry about. The other women have mostly backed off too, though I still occasionally receive a nasty message from someone new he's seeing who believes I'm the villain in their love story. Yesterday, I was packing up some of the baby's outgrown clothes when I found a onesie my ex had bought her when I was still pregnant. It had little dinosaurs on it and said, "Daddy's little girl." I sat on the floor of her nursery and cried for what felt like hours, not because I miss him or want him back. Those feelings are gone. I cried for the family we could have been, for the life I thought we were building together. I've started dating again, just casually. I met a nice guy through an online app who understands my situation and respects my boundaries. We've only been on 3 dates, but it's pleasant to feel desired again, to have adult conversations that don't revolve around custody schedules or divorce proceedings. I'm not rushing into anything serious, though. My daughter and my education come first. My house is almost sold. I decided I didn't want to keep it after all. Too many memories, both good and bad. The money from the sale will help pay for my education and provide us with a comfortable beginning in our new city. My ex didn't contest it, which surprised me. Perhaps he truly is trying to change. Sometimes at night, when the house is quiet, and my daughter is sleeping, I still think about how quickly everything disintegrated, how one decision, his decision, changed the course of our lives forever. But then I look at my daughter's peaceful face, and I know I made the right choice. We deserve better than what he could offer us. We deserve honesty, respect, and love that doesn't come with conditions. I'm not the same woman who woke up at 5 a.m. to prepare elaborate lunches anymore. I'm stronger now, more independent. I've learned that taking care of myself isn't selfish, it's necessary. And someday, when my daughter is old enough to understand, I'll tell her that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from something that no longer serves you, even when walking away breaks your heart. Update 6. It's been 6 months since my last update, and so much has changed. We've been settled in our new city for almost 4 months now. The move was chaotic but liberating, packing our old life into boxes while my daughter crawled around, attempting to help by unpacking everything I had just organized. My grandma has been an absolute blessing, transforming our small 3-bedroom apartment into a home with her cooking and warmth. University life at 28 is different than I imagined. I'm usually the oldest in my classes, but there are a few other parents in my program, and we've formed a close study group that meets twice weekly. My psychology professor says I have valuable life perspective, a polite way of saying my past experiences make for interesting class discussions. I'm maintaining a 3.8 GPA despite the sleepless nights with a teething toddler. My daughter turned 1 last month. We had a small party at the park near our apartment. Nothing extravagant, just cake and bubbles and a few new friends. My ex drove up for it, arriving with a mountain of presents and his parents in tow. It was awkward at first, watching him interact with my grandma and my new friends, but he was on his best behavior. He's still sober, 8 months now. I can see the effort he's making. The custody arrangement has been working surprisingly well. He makes the drive every other weekend without complaint, even during that terrible snowstorm in January when it took him 5 hours instead of 2. He's converted his spare bedroom into a nursery, complete with a crib we'd picked out together before everything fell apart. Sometimes when he drops her off, I catch glimpses of the man I fell in love with, patient, gentle, focused on her needs. Then I remember the lies, the other women, the shattered trust, and I remind myself that co-parenting doesn't mean reconciliation. My casual dating situation evolved into something more serious. His name is Marcus. He teaches high school history and has a 6-year-old son from his previous marriage. We've been exclusive for 3 months now. He understands the complexity of my situation because he's experienced it from the other side. His ex-wife left him for her gym trainer when their son was 2. There's something comforting about being with someone who doesn't require the messy details of divorce and co-parenting to be explained. Last week, my ex met Marcus during a drop-off that ran long. I watched my past and present collide in my living room as they shook hands and made polite conversation about the weather. Later that night, my ex called and asked if Marcus was good. To our daughter. Not accusatory, just concerned. I told him the truth, that Marcus is kind and patient with her, but respects that he's not her father. The conversation ended with my ex telling me he was happy for me, though I could hear the pain beneath his words. I've been seeing a therapist who specializes in divorce recovery. She's helping me work through the lingering anger and trust issues. Sometimes I still wake up from nightmares where I'm discovering those text messages all over again. That sickening feeling of my world collapsing around me. But those nights are becoming less frequent. I'm learning to distinguish who I was in my marriage from who I am now, stronger, more self-reliant, unwilling to settle. My ex's sobriety has brought clarity to our conversations. Last month, he finally gave me the full truth about his affairs, not just the ones I discovered, but all of them, dating back to when I was 6 months pregnant. It was like reopening. A wound I thought had healed, but somehow hearing everything helped me release the last bits of self-doubt. It was never about me not being enough. It was about his own demons, his inability to be faithful, his addiction to validation from multiple women. My daughter said her first real word last week. Book. Not mama or dada, but book. She's obsessed with them, carries them everywhere, babbles to herself while turning pages. My ex jokes that we're raising a future librarian. I see pieces of him in her every day. His dimples, his stubbornness, the way she tilts her head when she's curious about something. I'm learning to separate my feelings about him from my recognition of the good parts of him that live on in her. My mom calls every Sunday, always asking if I've considered moving back home, always mentioning how my ex is really changing, according to town gossip. I've stopped engaging with these suggestions. This new city, this new life, it's where we belong now. I'm building something sustainable here, something that doesn't depend on anyone else's choices or behavior.